This graph tracks the Japanese yen against the US dollar over recent years. The steep drop you are looking at represents a historic low for the currency. For corporate planners organizing an incentive trip, that drop means destinations that usually break the budget are now viable. Your dollar can stack up significantly more luxury hotel rooms, transfers, and high-end dining experiences than it could a few years ago. What we are looking at is a collapse in financial distance. A weak yen dramatically shrinks the cost gap between booking a premium domestic retreat and an elite international one. But the math on a spreadsheet is only half the equation. While money fluctuates daily, geography remains rigidly fixed. A 14-hour flight is still a 14-hour flight. Budget-conscious leaders often fall into a trap here. This automatically equals a better trip, and push for the international option without considering the physical toll. Currency can buy an extraordinary experience once your team is on the ground. It cannot buy back a day lost in a cramped airplane seat or a customs line. When a company ignores the logistics of time and fatigue, an incentive trip fails quietly. The true failure isn't a mediocre hotel. It is an empty banquet table because your exhausted top performers declined the invitation. These quiet failures are caused by basic human friction. Passports expire. A top salesperson has a young family and can't manage a long absence. A working partner cannot take an extra 2 days off just to recover from jet lag. To solve this, we can evaluate two baseline archetypes. Japan serves as our complex international benchmark. The Lowcountry, specifically Charleston, South Carolina, serves as the premium domestic benchmark. Choosing between these two locations is not about exploiting a currency loophole. It requires you to measure your organization's actual scarce resources, available calendar days, and workforce stamina. You have to decide if you are rewarding your team with a low-friction exhale from their demanding lives or a monumental crossing into a completely different one. We will start with the international archetype. An environment like Tokyo operates at an overwhelming scale, defined by intensity and contrast. Taking a group here requires a strategy we'll call the monumental crossing. You use your strong purchasing power to engineer profound collective memories for a highly selective group of top-tier performers. The core mechanism of this reward is productive disorientation. You move your guests rapidly from ultra-modern infrastructure into spaces of deep traditional serenity. The unavoidable trade-off is the physical tax. You are asking your guests to endure massive transit times, navigate foreign border controls, and absorb intense jet lag. To justify that physical toll, the organization has to follow a strict complexity budget. You must rigidly protect a minimum of 6 to 8 nights for the trip. If you attempt schedule compression, squeezing a massive itinerary into too few days to save money, the friction of the environment backfires. The destination simply becomes another heavy demand placed on a tired guest. You must build in humane recovery days and utilize precise logistical support on the ground. When you do that, the long flight functions as a threshold to a new world, rather than a punishment. This requires a destination with high institutional maturity. The guests need to move seamlessly through a massive itinerary without ever feeling the heavy operational machinery running behind the scenes. The international archetype earns its vast physical distance only when you allocate enough time. The schedule has to allow the destination to be a reward, not an exhausting marathon. The domestic archetype offers a completely different environment. A destination like the Lowcountry is built for immediate decompression and warmth. We call this strategy the low-friction exhale. It utilizes a highly compressed 3 to 4 night window, specifically to protect against participation drop-off. High attendance is guaranteed by operational ease. The language is shared, domestic cell service continues, there are 0 passport requirements, and the flights are short. Because nobody is losing a day to time zone recovery or border processing, the emotional payoff starts on the very first afternoon. The primary trade-off is inherent prestige. A domestic trip lacks the exotic, monumental weight that highly competitive, elite performers often demand for achieving massive targets. To solve for that, planners must replace standard vacation activities with highly orchestrated, exclusive regional access. You create exclusivity by securing private historical homes, hiring chefs to explain the region's history through a private meal on a tidal creek, and building wellness experiences entirely around harbor access. By removing the deep operational friction of travel, the domestic destination turns a tight calendar window into a protected bubble of belonging. The Lowcountry protects the integrity of the reward by completely removing the physical distance between the invitation and the experience itself. To make a final decision, stop comparing raw hotel rates. You need to run a strategic scenario match. Throw out the basic budget spreadsheet and evaluate your options based on the memory yield of the trip versus the organizational friction it requires. This diagram outlines the primary routing question every planner must ask. What is the organization's single hardest constraint for this specific group? If your priority is maximizing attendance, you fit the time-constrained optimizer profile. You have to analyze your calendar constraints. This means your usable window is only 3 to 4 nights, securing partner attendance is paramount, and your executives must return to work on Monday with 0 required recovery time. If you fit that profile, choose the domestic Lowcountry archetype to guarantee a high participation exhale. If the achievement was unusually difficult, the reward must reflect that difficulty. You fit the prestige chaser profile. This path requires rigorously protecting 6 to 8 nights away, a group with high travel stamina, and a goal of cultural contrast. For this profile, choose the international Japan archetype to deliver a true threshold crossing out of normal life. Use a favorable exchange rate to elevate the experience, but ensure the operational friction of the destination is perfectly proportionate to the future performance you are trying to inspire.